Good afternoon, everyone. If you hadn't seen over the last couple of days, ash to 50,000 feet, Manam Volcano. Aftermath of the explosion, quarter of the mountain gone. 2005 also saw that same volcano pushing ash to 60,000 plus feet. Global wheat supply falls to crisis levels. Countries begin stockpiling. Haven't seen this low of levels since 2007 and 8. And you can count China out of any exports this year, which leaves 8 major exporters with 20% of the world's stocks. A look at the week of August snows, and when you see subliminal messages, eat again, you may really want to start contemplating the message that you're going to have to start growing some of your own food again to supplement what's not going to be in the regular supply chain. The Adapt 2030 TrueLeafMarket.com link is below in the description box, as well as the links to tonight's stories and images, and also the link to many Ice Age Conversations podcasts. I'm up near 100 episodes now, where I go much more in-depth on these same changes, how the censorship is here, trying to dissuade you from seeing this information. And as the censorship continues across the planet to silence voices delivering alternative opinions, the reason that your food prices are rising and that we're in cycles of multi-century duration, and you'll understand my reasoning for starting my BitChute channel. You can follow me over there. I'm using this as a backup. I'm also getting a private server set up so I can continue to bring you this information in case other venues go down. Let's talk about Papua New Guinea for a second. Volcano erupts over the weekend, sending ash 50,000 feet above sea level. Now notice right at that second paragraph there, the ash falls were so heavy that trees broke under the weight. This is from the Rabaul Volcano Observatory, otherwise known as RVO. That's what they said in their information bulletin. Trees broke under that weight. These are the images that are circulating around not only social media, but the legacy-controlled mainstream media. And it's this one image. You'd think in this day and age, with all these people out there, that they would have more images coming out. I don't care if it's a grainy image off an old phone, but you'd think there would be more images than this one. Thousands of villagers, rescue workers, aid workers, and this is the only one image we get out of the event. So let me bring you over here to Manam, Papua New Guinea, east of Indonesia, that large island, Irian Jaya, split in half, half Indonesia, half Papua New Guinea. Now you can see on the map where it is. Take a look at the volcano. You can see that large indentation right exactly in the center from the 2005 eruption. Now the pin is the location of the volcano just offshore. First reported off the Red Cross, also picked up by Volcano Discovery and so many others. Radio New Zealand picking it up, but it seems to be just these same two images circulating around the net. Left side is the satellite image, right side is that same one with the lava coming out. I'll wide it out here for you so you can see. Yellow is the coastline. And it sure looks like a lot of that dark brown at the bottom northeast seems to be the ash. Now here's what's so interesting. Just today, they said they went up here and got these live shots of the eruption with a helicopter from the volcano. Now remember, the Volcano Observatory said that so many trees were covered and crushed and falling from all the heavy, dense ash. Yet what I see is a bunch of trees that are uncovered. And also, how is this eruption so violent, sending ash 50,000 feet into the air just the day before yesterday, yet there's no fallout and they're up there with helicopters and everything's looking hunky-dory? Something is very amiss with this story. That's all I'm going to say about it. Also, mainstream legacy-controlled media showing us this satellite image from Manam. It doesn't have a date on it, but the cloud pattern's completely different from the prior one that you saw. So somehow it seems like two different sets of satellite images also included in the stories circulating around. Not really sure how large this volcanic eruption was. There's a clear effort to keep it just reined into the tightest amount of information spread going on. Volcano discovery, though, pulling it out here, showing you 2005 had a major eruption on that same volcano, sending ash up 60 to 70,000 feet. Now, why would that matter? Well, ash cover blocks sunlight. Sunlight affects our crops. Year without a summer. Ever heard of that? Tambora eruption? Well, one of those things. Now, here's a startling headline. Global wheat supply falls to crisis levels. Countries begin stockpiling. Now, you knew this was coming from a couple of years ago. Now it's in play. Lowest levels on the stockpiles are booked into the silos, whatever way you want to term it, since 2007 and 8. Now, at that time, that spurred all the food crisis and all the regime change across the Middle East. I know it was a convenient excuse. 30-year dictators wiped out left, right, and center. There was a lot of political maneuvering as well at that same time with countries who wanted to switch away from the U.S. dollar and use gold-backed reserve currencies of their own issuance. But nevertheless, the excuse was food prices. Now, we're coming to that point again, no doubt, food prices. So I'm wondering what's going to go on politically around these same regions, areas, countries that also were very unstable during this last food crisis round. Let's take a look at the USDA. This is for total grains. I want to zoom that in a bit to the 2017, 18, 19 totals for the entire world. Now, last year it was 560 million tons in the ending stocks, but then they're even projecting out 2018, 19. I don't know how they could do that before you even plant. They already know how much is going to be harvested a full year in advance, plus. But they're still putting it at 522 million. That's 40 million tons down. That's even before they plant this next year. That's incredible how they could have such a crystal ball to go out and see that. Well, nonetheless, that's the totals there, down, down, down. This would be expected with your food price rises. Also, if we're just going to take a look at the United States proper itself, wheat 2016, 17, 18, 19, that same era run, 32 million tons all the way down to 25 million tons. Looks like some of the global producers are going to have a little difficulty. I don't know why the ending stocks are going to be so low unless they're pulling out of the silos and the production is not going to be there, and they're just not telling you because they don't want to panic you. Continuing with the article, this is another game changer here. China's not going to export anything. They're holding all of what they grow because they're in a massive drought up north anyway, and they're in Heilongjiang, and they're going to be trying to import as much as they can to offset the losses in the drought. So that means, I highlighted in blue, just 8 major exporters will be left with 20% of the world's stocks. Down a third from a decade ago, but that decade ago is the exact same time with food crisis, etc., across the Middle East, North Africa. Now, continuing in the article here, here's where it gets incredibly interesting. And this is why a lot of censorship is coming up, why there's been a massive push to try to limit voices, because this is the information that changes our society right here. We're about to come into a global civilization shaking next 12 to 24 months here. Wheat price is already a 4-year high, fine. $5.93 a bushel. Now that's expected to climb to at least 13 to 14 again during these next 12 months. But then if you take a page out of the history book, generally wheat prices and barley prices, at least Maunder minimum at least, quadrupled during these times. Is it going to quadruple off the $13? Or is it going to double again to $25 and then quadruple to be $100? Just don't know. But anyway, let's talk about some of the major exporters that are having a very difficult time this year producing. Argentina, Australia is going to be almost no production coming out. Canada, severely limited. I'm going to say 50% of what they normally get. EU, depends where you go. Germany, for an example, 25-year lows. UK, 40-year lows. Kazakhstan, how about Stan? Russia, talk about the Ural Mountains. How about Ukraine? United States, unbelievable, down 80% out of the Kansas wheat harvest. They're not even putting South Africa in here now. South Africa is almost going to zero with the political turmoil down there. And you're wondering why your food prices are rising. Mainstream controlled legacy media is going to continue to tell you it's CO2, but it's not. It's a cycle in our sun that's on a 400-year cycle. Go back to the Maunder minimum, see what happened then. This is what they're trying to keep out of your news feed. And we talk about effects in the sun, the vibrational frequency changing because of changes in the sun. Citizens are starting to rise up and take back their own sovereignty. Now, when they start to combine together as a group of citizens trying to take back their sovereignty for their nation or themselves, this is what you get. Russia's agriculture ministry meeting grain traders because citizens, farmers, and the grain industry within Russia said, you know what? Meat production is getting too high. Cost of animal feed is getting too high. You are not going to export our food out of this country. Now, you're starting to see this a lot. This is just going to be the copy-paste. So when the shortages start and people are looking for secondary or tertiary suppliers, they're just not going to be there. And hungry people do strange things. And you wonder why the police state has been set up globally. Well, this is the reason for it. And you wonder why all these things are happening with silencing of voices across social media, regular media. They're trying to cut down everything that's not under control of legacy, dinosaur, outdated, mainstream, controlled corporate media. This is the reason everything's been set up since 9/11. Period. It is to control all the chaos that's ensuing and about to ensue with all these crisis levels of grain and food sweeping the planet right now. This is it. We're here finally. This is the point I've been talking about for years on my channel that we would arrive at. We're here. Good luck to you. And then adding on, just connected stories off-SOT here about the global wheat supply. Central European drought, of course. Austria, Germany, France. Terrible production this year, almost nothing. And if it wasn't floods, it was hail. And if it wasn't drought, it was massive floods. Fruits gone, vegetables gone, wheat production way down in all those major producers in Europe. Australia, worst drought in 116 years. They're going to be exporting almost zero. They're going to be importing because they won't have any domestic supply after they use up what's in the silos there. Like what unprecedented drought in the Koreas, okay? Well, this is North Korea, South Korea, and that whole Heilongjiang area where China grows its wheat. They're not growing anything up there this year because of this massive drought. Erratic seasons, devastating crops around the world. That's kind of an understatement. And when you have dinosaur media saying 70% crop losses in Australia, you know it must be much worse. And if you're wondering why your wine prices are rising, well, the vineyards across the planet are being decimated. They're down something like 60% in global production, Peru down 11%. And we were told snow would be a thing of the past. Al Gore assured us it would be. And then here's all the snow occurring in August, just these last 3 days. Glacier National Park in the U.S., Banff up in Canada, Alberta Mountains, Austria, Germany, 40 centimeters of snow. That's more than a foot. Slovenia, and then we have just a record snowfalls down in Australia as well. So when you see legacy media putting still images like this in their news feeds, rolling out through all the papers and websites that it's the real news, sark, this is what the still is right here. Eat again. Is that a subliminal that they're sending you right now? Because from my eyes and my rose-colored glasses that I see the world through, there's massive crop shortages going on, massive price increases on the way, and the biggest opportunity in human history for you at your fingertips. If you come at it with opportunity and abundance and trying to help others and provide the most value during these times. So focus on how you can be the catalyst for change for the better as we start getting into these food price rises starting right now. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I'm nearing episode number 100 on Mini Ice Age Conversations. I just had a great conversation with Piers Corbin as well. Going to be posting that up there. But for right now, more in-depth analysis on these same issues to talk about. The newest episode, When Your Reality Shatters. And those around you that have been taught global warming and CO2, when the narrative flips and everything they've learned about that will be tipped upside down. They're going to have to accept a new reality and how that's going to affect their psychology. Mini Ice Age Conversations available anywhere on the net, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Libsyn.